In 1976, a prisoner named Kieran Nugent was ordered to wear a prison suit, but refused to. This resulted in him getting thrown into his cell with nothing else than a blanket. Hundreds of Republican prisoners followed Kieran onto a protest. In Armagh, another part of Northern Ireland, female Republican prisoners were allowed to retain their own closets, but otherwise experienced the same conditions as their male comrades and struggled for the same objective. The whole thing was about the right to wear your own closets. They didn't want to give up. With the coverage by the newspaper and so on, they could be called quitters if they didn't push through, and the ongoing assaults outside the prison wall from the IRA against prison guards helped raise their spirits. The prison even made it harder for the inmates with bad behavior. In the end, they were only allowed one letter per month. The whole situation was seen from two sides. The one trying to bring them down and the ones rooting for IRA. The protest did show that with the right dedication and time you can change a system. The blanket protest was ended right before the dirty protest, and it's hard not to agree that it must have been a huge motivational boost for the people starting the dirty protests. Several newspapers at the time regularly posted stories and news about the protest. It meant they got a lot of public attention at the time being, and some of them is marked as some kind of heroes in some part of Ireland, due to how long they held on to the protest and in the end got what they wanted. Could it happen again? There will always be a cause to protest against. If it's in Ireland again, that will remain unknown. Did the protest impact the world society to how it is today?
You could say this protest did impact the world and the society to how it is today, because the human rights movement became much more aware of the situations in most prisons back then, and removed the chance of people getting treated the same way again. As mentioned before, this example could be the reason for other protests to start again in prisons in the future again, showing groups such as the IRA that it is possible for them to achieve what they want this way. The people who protested can also be seen as murals around some areas of Ireland, which could work as motivation for future protests.
The Dirty Protest. In March 1978, some prisoners refused to leave their cells to shower or use a lavatory because of attacks by prison officers, and were provided with wash-hand basins in their cells. The prisoners requested showers installed in their cells, and when this request was turned down, they refused to use the wash-hand basins. At the end of April 1978, a fight occurred between a prisoner and prison officers in H Block 6.
The prisoner was sent to solitary, and the news said that the prisoner was badly beaten. The prisoners responded by destroying and smashing the furniture in their cells. And the prison responded by removing all the furniture except for blankets and mattresses. And the prisoners responded by refusing to leave their cells, and the prison officers couldn't clear them. And this resulted in the blanket protest escalating into the dirty protest. The prison kept the cells clean by breaking the cell windows and spraying in disinfectant, removing the prisoners and clean the cells. But when the prisoners got back to their cells, they continued the protest. In January 1980, the prisoners issued the so-called Five Demands Statement. 1. The right not to wear a prison uniform. 2. The right not to do prison work. 3. The right of free association with other prisoners. 4. The right to one visit, one letter, and one parcel per week. 5. A full restoration of remission lost through the protest.
What impact did they achieve? Actually, some died, but they achieved the social movement across Ireland. Are there any similar events? Yes, in World War II, Jews from concentration camps have tried to make a social movement where they refused to work for the Germans, but the difference is they all failed.
The people who suffered from both the blanket protest and the dirty protest could possibly have both mental and physical damages done to them after they came out of the prison. The reason for this is both because the conditions they lived in, but also because of the way they were treated. Some people who came out of the prison explained to journalists that they had nightmares that haunted them about what happened back then and how the conditions were.